Hello, Timberwolves. This is Mrs. Marshall coming to you from the counseling office. And today starts our character education program through your advisories, just as we did last year. As you will remember, we did the Harbor videos along with the discussion. This year, we're still going to be doing the Harbor videos, but we're going to be trying also to do a program called Start with Hello. And maybe you've already seen a start to that through our student greeters in the morning, our wonderful student council members who are standing out in the front, or when you come in from the bus, giving you the high fives and the hello in the mornings to get your morning started. Maybe you've kind of seen the banner in the rotunda and kind of thought to yourself, well, what is Start with Hello? Well, that's what I'm presenting to you today. And so please give me just a few minutes of your time, a part of your brain. I know by this time of the day some of you are done, but I'm asking you to please listen, and we are going to really try to continue this program throughout the year in order to make every student here at Wood Creek feel connected and to make you feel a part of the school. So, hello, my name is Miss Marshall. Today, through this PowerPoint, you're going to learn how to create a closer, a more connected and inclusive classroom, a more connected and inclusive Wood Creek Junior High, and maybe out in the community of Katy, simply by starting with the phrase, hello, my name is, or maybe even just with hello. Before we learn about Start with Hello, I first want you guys to take a couple of minutes or a couple of seconds, and I want to ask each of you to think about a time you felt lonely, invisible, excluded, isolated, ignored, passed over, or even shut off. All of us, students, teachers, administrators, all of us at some point in our life have experienced this. And many of you probably did not like how it made you feel. I know sometimes I didn't like the way it made me feel. Now, imagine living like that every day. Maybe you just felt that way for a class or maybe a day. But imagine living like that every day, or for maybe multiple days, or maybe even weeks or months or even a year. In every school and community, there are kids and young adults who are alone, and they quietly suffer through this each and every day. As a result, young people who are isolated and feel alone can often become the victims of bullying. They can also become the victims of violence, and/or they can become the victims of depression and sadness. This leads many of them to further pull away from society, to pull inside themselves. Maybe some of them even struggle with learning within the classroom, and maybe with their social development. Maybe they develop physical health issues. Sometimes we see those people who just the anxiety of having to come to school causes them to be nauseous or to get stomach aches, and they can't eat, and then that develops into a headache. And in some extreme instances, some of them choose to self-harm or harming others because they can no longer cope with these feelings of being alone and excluded. Starting today, we are going to create a connected community, a community where we can easily and simply reach out to one another and be inclusive and belonging. We are creating a community, which is Wood Creek Junior High, that supports and looks out for one another. To do this, we need you. We need each and every one of you to look out for one another and to support each other, no matter if you're best friends or whether you've never talked to that person before. It is the only way that we're going to be able to achieve this, and only you can help create this connectedness. And the good news is that it really isn't all that hard. It is really simple to do, and the first step is just to start with hello. 3 easy, simple steps can help us to create an inclusive and connected classroom, a school, Wood Creek Junior High, and even out in the community of Katy. The steps are easy and simple only when you, step 1, see someone alone. Step 2, reach out and help. And step 3, just start with hello. So, how do you know if someone is isolated? You're still young, and so maybe you don't know what the signs are, or even what to look for. But this is what we're asking you to do. We're asking you sometimes to step outside of yourself and look for somebody who may have these signs. You need to know the signs and signals of isolation, which are a preference to be alone rather than engaging with peers. Sometimes you see these people in the cafeteria. Sometimes they sit alone because they prefer to be alone. Put their earphones in, and maybe they like to watch a certain show, or maybe they like to play a certain game. Maybe they avoid the human interaction. They just keep to themselves because they're very quiet. Maybe they're shy, and that's the way of keeping them to themselves, because maybe they don't know how to start a conversation. Many are anxious and are uncomfortable being around others socially. Just being in the hallway sometimes may be hard for them. Maybe purposely being excluded by their fellow classmates, whether it's digitally or indirectly. Sometimes we see students sitting at tables, and yes, there is a bunch of you sometimes at the table, but you still kind of see them sitting there kind of to themselves. Nobody's really talking to them. Nobody's really interacting with them. And maybe the person is just slightly removed or outside of you in your group. Maybe they're sitting there, but their mind is not there. Maybe they're not interacting with you. Maybe you are trying to start a conversation, but maybe they just kind of removed themselves from the group. Unfortunately, you can see social isolation everywhere. The key is to look for it. It can occur in all areas of a person's daily school life and even their after-school life. And I've talked about, sometimes being in the lunchroom, but there's other places like riding on the school bus. And I know you think, wow, on the school bus where it's full, how can anybody be alone? But if you really look for it, you can see those who are alone or who have isolated themselves. Maybe sitting in a classroom, maybe in the band room, or maybe in orchestra, or choir, or in the art room. Sometimes you can see it, even though we try to provide that family atmosphere and that feeling of connectedness, sometimes they just still feel like they're alone. And also remember, it's not only in person, but it's really important to watch others' words that they use in social media. Maybe it's the pictures that they've posted, or maybe the videos they posted on social media where you can see they are feeling alone and isolated. Really important to remember, someone can feel alone even when they are with others. Isolation isn't always when someone is physically by themselves. So always remember that. Even when you're with someone, you can still maybe feel that feeling of being alone. So how do you know if someone is isolated? We've already talked about the signs and how to find it. How do you do this? How do you reach out and help? How do you know if that's someone that is feeling isolated wants to be included in a group? For many, taking this step can be really hard. Many students have told us that they just don't know what to do. They don't know how to start a conversation. They don't know how to reach out to someone else. Then there's other times when they want to reach out. And they say, I want to reach out, but I don't want to be awkward. I don't want to make somebody else feel awkward. Then sometimes they think to themselves, do they really want to talk to me? Because sometimes you may walk up to somebody and say hello, and then maybe you just may feel ignored and they don't want to talk to you. Sometimes you think, well, maybe they're going to think I'm strange, just randomly walking up to somebody that I don't even know and trying to start a conversation. What reasons make it hard to reach out? Here's the great news. Throughout these weeks and months and this year, we're going to help give you some tips. We're going to help you practice some things like the activity you're fixing to do here in class in a minute in order to help you reach out and help. We want you to help individuals that maybe feel isolated or alone and make them feel connected to our school, make them feel a part of Wood Creek Junior High, and taking advantage of those moments, making it easier and more natural and feel less forced. And while we strongly urge everyone to connect in person, we also want to see you do some reach outs, whether through writing a note to somebody here at school or maybe reaching out to them through social media. So what can you do? What are some things you can do right now to help someone? Well, one thing you can do is just go sit with someone. You don't necessarily have to talk to them. Maybe it's just sitting next to them can make them start feeling comfortable with you. And maybe then after sitting there with a while to start a conversation. Number two, maybe you can reach out to them on social media. Maybe you can find them on social media and say, hey, what's up? And maybe just through watching what they're posting, maybe you can find a way in which you connect through maybe some similarities that you have, or maybe there's a movie that the both of you like. Maybe you can invite someone to join you, and invite them to join you at your table, or to join you on the bus, or to join you in the classroom. Especially if you are witnessing an individual or a group of individuals purposely isolating someone, and that's also through social media. Maybe give a simple gesture to someone, like a thumbs up or a wave. Sometimes, like we talked about before, maybe even a smile can help somebody feel connected. Invite someone to join you in an activity, maybe that you're doing in class or maybe that you might be doing after school. And the last thing, and we've done these before, is a positive post-its. Leave a handwritten note on their book or on their desk, or a sticky note. Maybe leave it on a table at lunch. What can we do as a school? And that's some things that we're going to be trying to do more of this year. And the first one you already had today, which is the No Tech Tuesday, which I know all of you enjoyed. And we certainly want to do this more often throughout the year. Hopefully you had fun playing a card game or one of the board games we had in there. That's some of the things we're going to try to do. We may try to do a hay day where we can get everybody to maybe wear a name tag. Maybe have a scavenger hunt. Like today, your activity is going to be the human bingo, just getting to know you person day. You have now reached out and helped, so we kind of gave you some ideas for the step 2. What do you say? How do you start a conversation and learn more about the person you reached out to? So hopefully we've given you some ideas now that you can take with you, but we're going to keep giving you some icebreakers, some ideas of what to do later on throughout the year. So how do you get the conversation started? Simply start with hello. Then you can use some of our favorite conversation starters or icebreakers that we're going to be talking about throughout the year, as I've said before. Before we review these icebreakers, I want to share some facts with you. Try it, you will like it. 8 out of 10 young people are hesitant to start a conversation with someone that they don't know. So if 10 of you stand up right now, 8 of you feel like you are hesitant to start a conversation with someone that you don't know. And in a separate research, 8 out of 10 young people report being happy that they actually started that conversation, that someone they didn't know, because then it bloomed into a great friendship. So kind of keep those thoughts in your mind about how you may be hesitant to start a conversation, but then how happy you may be because of the feeling it may give you, or maybe the friendship that you may have made through connecting with someone else. So, teachers, if you will, pass out the human bingo. I know you don't have a lot of time left, but if you don't get it today, maybe try it another time during advisory, and then come let us know in the counseling office how it went. Let us know who won, And maybe you'll meet a new friend today. And thank you for listening.